This is Shalom, my brothers and sisters. This is going to be a very powerful tape, a lot of information. Get your pens and papers out. Israelite Jews of Ancient America. You can write at P.O. Box 1138, New York, New York, 10013. Now, I know a lot of my Indian brothers, so-called Indians, who are original people of America, the ancient people of America. What you have been taught is that you're the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel, and that the blacks in America are your people. This is one book by a white man named William Lorenz Katz, Black Indians, a hidden heritage. The knowledge of who we are has been hidden from us. But I want to give you some points of interest to show you that we're the real Jews. I know that the Indians pretty much do not trust the Bible, but you've been taught the Bible by your enemies ever since 1492, and they use your own weapon against you. But our ancestors followed the scriptures for thousands of years. The Bible goes back to your true history. Who are you in the Bible? Okay? A lot of your history goes back to mysticism, and it doesn't really go into secular history. Well, the Bible brings you back to your secular heritage of being the ancient 10 tribes of the nation of Israel that broke away from the other 2 tribes, making 12 tribes of Israel. And the Bible is your ancient history book. I'm going to go right into some of the particulars and facts. This is Time Life, or Time Magazine, America at 400. This is a picture I want the brother to focus on where my finger's at. Captain John Smith, rescued by Pocahontas. Okay? Now, if you focus on the king's chest here, you'll see that there's a shield of David. Why is he wearing that? What does that show? The shield of David goes back to Solomon's seal, and it represents the duality of the Most High's power, the negative and the positive. Okay? Another record the brother brought to me. It's a Taino Indian spiritual ceremony. Tainos, which means good people, name that the white man called them, they actually call themselves Boricua, which means land of the noble lords. These are the ancient Puerto Ricans on Puerto Rico. Puerto means port, Rico means rich, Spanish. They named it that. It was actually called Boricua or Boriquin. But as you see on the chest, the shield of David on the chest of this ancient Puerto Rican Indian. You're going to see why that shield is there. This is from the book 500 Nations by Alvin M. Joseph Jr. Notice the Israelite Jewish shield of David on the right arm of the so-called Indian. Right here. See the shield of David? These are the Indians. It's all throughout the history of the Indians. This shield has been one of their many Hebrew symbols. Okay? This is I got from a gift store back in 2004 when I visited the indigenous people, the Lakota of South Dakota. I went to Rapid City in the Black Hills and the monuments of Crazy Horse. They're building their very majestic monument, much more majestic than those 4 guys that got up Mount Rushmore, which they just bogarted their way into making these people, the Indians, captors and murderers, glorifying them. As an art piece, it's very well done, but the subject matter is of a demonic sense. As you see, Shield of David, as you see here. Okay? This is from the book Mysteries of the Past by Lionel Casson, Robert Claiborne, Brian Fagan, Walter Karp. Page 11. Before long, Antonio's tale of Israelites who had wandered to America was escalated into a theory which put them among the founder of the New World civilization, a theory that reached its heyday in the 19th century. Britain's Lord Kingsborough, for example, went through the family fortune and landed in debtor's prison no less than 3 times. He died there the last time in order to publish the deluxe, superbly illustrated volumes proving that the Mexican Indians were descendants of the lost tribes. Okay? This is a map. This is also from Time Life Books. I don't have the name or the actual page. It's page 56. I don't have the actual date, but this is from Time Life Books. Mystery of the 10 Lost Tribes of Israel. Peoples claimed by different writers to be the 10 tribes, lost tribes, dispersed by the Assyrian deportations of 740 to 700 BC. You can read that in 2 Kings 17 chapter, and in the Apocryphal book in 2 Ezra 13:40 to 45. People believe themselves to be descendants from the 10 lost tribes. As you see, Mexicans. Lord Kingsborough, we just read about 1837, wrote about them. Mexican Indians, A. Montesinos, 1644. Delaware Indians, C. Beatty, 1678. Massachusetts, 1815. Ohio, 1860. You got Mormons, who actually originally the Indians. Okay, the whites just came here and called themselves the 10 tribes and tried to make up this book we're going to go into later on in this tape, trying to justify, that's a made-up Bible, by the way, the Mormon book, to try to justify whites being the 10 tribes. American Indians by T. Thorogood, 1650. So this is a map. It shows how they came from Assyria. I put this here myself to show you. This is also proven later on in this tape. Different records. This is from Newsweek, Fall Winter 1991. Okay, Newsweek, a special edition. Let's go on this page here. This is page 25. Until the 1890s, archaeologists refused to believe savage hordes were capable of such undertakings. Some scholars thought they were built by stray Vikings, even a lost tribe of Israel. So they were debating who built these structures that you see throughout the Americas. I'm going to show you later on in this tape. The ancient castles that were throughout the Iroquois nation. I'm going to show you there were proof of castles throughout these nations. This is one magazine where they found records that the mound builders, they just couldn't believe the Indians did it, but they did do it. Okay, because these were the Israelites. U.S. News, America before Columbus. Okay, let's go in here, what the scholars are saying. Other 19th century writers speculated that the mound builders were stray Vikings, Phoenicians, or lost tribe of Israel. Obviously intelligent people who were annihilated by Indian savages. See, they're trying to tell you that, they're trying to lie to say whites probably came by white Jews and the Indians killed them, but the white Jews, these were actually the Indians themselves, as you see. These are the Israelites. The white men did not come here and drop some intelligence on the Indians and now they just adopted it. They're trying to say that any presence of Jews around the world must have been whites that came there and taught them. That's a lie, because there's no evidence. Where's the evidence of the white man doing this and doing that, having this influence around the world? Okay? Doesn't make sense. This is from Omni magazine, page 16, from the Dig section. Okay? Did Jews discover the New World? Intriguing artifacts raise questions about North America by Jeffrey Heck. A wedge-shaped piece of sandstone, the keystone is inscribed on all four sides with Hebrew that reads, "The laws of Jehovah, the word of the Lord, King of the earth, the Holy of Holies." Okay, Warwick and a small excavation party discovered November 1860 a stone box which lay the piece of black alabaster known as the Decalogue stone. On the front of the stone is a priestly figure, and about it, etched in a style of Hebrew found nowhere else before or since, is the name of Moses. A condensed version of the 10 Commandments is inscribed in this unique Hebrew on every surface of the stone. So here's the stone right here that they found over in America with Hebrew all the way around it. This is Moses in the middle. I have other records that are probably a little clearer. This is a copy I have, but this is the article right here, and it goes into Hebrew artifacts found throughout the Americas. It's a book called Feats and Wisdom of the Ancients. Okay. Ancient Hebrews of Tennessee. They found Hebrew inscriptions in the Cherokee nations. Tennessee is the chief of that area. They named Tennessee after Chief Tennessee. But now they're saying ancient Hebrew because they read this. If you just, pan through, so someone could probably read this at home. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Just pan through where my finger's at, and they could probably read this. But it just shows how they found records of Jews in Tennessee. Okay? These are all records that are found. Okay? Let's go right here to some more startling information. Another one. Okay, we're going to hold back on this one because I want to get you this record later on, but I want to go into this book. And this book is called Feats and Wisdom of the Ancients, Library of Curious and Unusual Facts. You got that? Okay. We're going to get this later on because I got something I want to add to this. We're going to find that. This is called Origins of the American Indians by Huddleston, right here. All right. Suez de Paleta interpreted this mean that the 10 tribes taken captive by Shalmaneser had escaped to a land called Asareth. This Asareth was obviously near America, and some of the Jews had migrated to it. One proof how the Israelites came here to the Americas. The fullest statement, this is page 69, the fullest statement of the 10 lost tribes theory relied on the apocryphal Esdras. Okay, the story of the journey to Asareth was presented in full in discussion of Suez Palates. Okay, many writers identify Asareth as America. Let's go in the Apocrypha. This is a Bible right here, Authorized King James Versions with the Apocrypha, if you get that. Okay, because the Bible was first written with the Apocrypha in it. The white man took it out. Really, it was kind of debated by us throughout history, but the white man totally divided it during slavery because it speaks a lot about what we're dealing with and how the Indians are from Israel. So we're going to go into the Ezra's books, and it goes into the continual stories of Ecclesiastes from the Solomons. It goes to the continuing stories of Esther. Esther, the last chapter, continues on in here, and it finishes up. Okay, so this is 2nd Ezra 13 and 40 to 45. Those are the 10 tribes which were carried away prisoners out of their own land in the time of Hosea the king, whom Shalmaneser the king of Assyria led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so they came into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country where never mankind dwelt, that they might there keep the statutes which they never kept in their own land. And he entered into the Euphrates by the narrow passage of the river, for the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood till they were passed over. And through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Asareth, which means in the Hebrew, Acharatha, which means another land, a newfound land. You see? So we're reading the scholars talking about Ezra. They know that America is at Ezra. We've seen the map showing how Mexicans and Indians and different peoples of Americas are of these 10 tribes that broke away from the black Negroid tribes that are our brothers. The Negroes in the West Indies and Haitians stayed in the land, while the Indian Hispanic tribes came over here during the time of 722 BC, when Shalmaneser conquered the 10 tribes up north of Israel and brought them to Assyria, which is Iraq. Then they broke out of Assyria and came down through the Euphrates, down through the Persian Gulf and around Africa. Okay, so that's where that comes from. Okay, let's go into here. Another point, page 88. The Mexicans are originally of the 10 tribes captured by Shalmaneser and the family of Issachar, whom the Indians recognize as a special ancestor. So as we see, this is a scholar right here. This is one of the conquistadors and the missionaries speaking about them. You can probably get a little pan of this page. You can read this. This whole book goes into the different missionaries and mercenaries of conquistadors speaking about the Jewish descent of the Indians, okay, and how they came from Asarlet. They're not teaching you this. The Mormons try to steal this knowledge from us, trying to say that they're the Israelites. Okay. Another book you can get, American Indians, James Adair, by James Adair, History of the American Indians. This whole book goes into, it's just ridiculous how he just breaks this whole thing down. James Adair set out not only to write all he knew about the physical qualities, dress, and temper of the Indians, but also to prove his theory that the Indians were lineal descendants of the lost tribes of Israel. This descent, Adair writes, I shall endeavor to prove from their religious rites, civil and marital customs, their marriages, funeral ceremonies, manners, language, traditions, and a variety of particulars. Devoting the first half of this book to proving his theory, he proves no less than 23 arguments that will astonish and fascinate the reader. In their common belief in Yahweh, should be Yahweh there, they have Jehovah, but there's no J's in Hebrew until 1600 when J was invented, and E and V are Latin letters, so you wouldn't have these in the Hebrew. The Indian Yahweh, now that's closer to the truth. The Indians use the word Yahweh, which is the true pronunciation, or Yahweh, as the name of the great spirit, the great God that made the heavens and the earth, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Adair says that they pay no religious worship to sticks or stones after the manner of the old Eastern pagans. Neither do they worship any kind of images whatsoever. So this whole book goes into the marriage and divorce and how they lived. The Indian brothers here. Okay. This is another page from the book. As the Israelites were divided into tribes and they had chiefs over them, so the Indians divide themselves. Each tribe forms a little community within the nation. And as the nation had particular symbol, so at each tribe the badge from which it is denominated. When you read in the Bible, it speaks about the Indians having different symbols. If you go into the tribe of Gad, their symbol is the teepees. I'm going to show you that later on in the tape. And the teepees go back to the Northern Indians being the tribe of Gad. That is your nationality in the Bible, the Gadites, G-A-D. Gad was the seventh son of Israel. Okay? And make sure you keep it on the table. Don't get anything else but this. Okay? Just have this. Lost Tribes and Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders. Okay? This goes into the tribes of Israel. Let's go to 365 here. See what page we're going to go to. 364. All right. Let's go into what this man says. By the way, the music you hear is Ohio Indians. I was in Ohio and I bought this tape from a store that sold Indian paraphernalia, and it's a very powerful Indian tape from the brothers in Ohio. This is about Montesinos, who has Indian guides, and they're guiding them to another group of Indians at this time down in Quito, Ecuador, and in the islands down there in South America. Waving a banner high in the air, the Indian guide soon was greeted by a puff of smoke far beyond the other bank of the river. In response to his signal, the two men waited. Eventually, a canoe appeared bearing 3 men and a woman, all of them Indians, to the place where Francisco and Montesinos were standing at the water's edge. The women got off and spoke to Francisco in an Indian tongue that Montesinos could not understand, although he could perceive that he was being identified in the conversation. She then turned to her male companions to to explain the situation. Upon hearing her words, they arose, went over to Montezinos, and to his utter astonishment said, Shemai, Yasharala, Adonai, Elohim, Adonai Ehad, which in Hebrew is, Hear, O Israel. Deuteronomy 6 and 4, you can read this credo. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our power is one Lord. They have recited in Hebrew the fundamental credo of Judaism. Like I said, Deuteronomy, in the 6th and 4th chapter, they were speaking Hebrew. The God of these children of Israel is the true God. See, this whole book goes into the Israelites being the Hebrews. Where are they at? Quito. Quito is the capital of Ecuador. So they had came through the islands, you see, and found out this truth of these people. In a brief conversation, they ensued that their common ancestral language, according to Montezinos, whose fluency in it is almost as perplexing to the reader of this narrative as it is of that of three mysterious new companions. They told him that they were themselves of the tribe of Reuben, and that the tribe of Joseph lived on an island nearby. So who's Joseph? Puerto Ricans and the Arawaks, the Caribs. That would be the Puerto Ricans and Cubans and the people around them today who are descended from them. They're the tribe of Joseph, of the sub-tribes of Ephraim and Manasseh, who are grandsons of Israel. But they're one tribe, the tribe of Joseph, the 11th born son of Israel. Okay?